Far across the galaxy, in the cold and unforgiving realm of the Zorak Empire, General Krelton gazed upon a holographic projection of his latest target, Earth. Known for its vibrant blue oceans and lush green forests, the planet was an anomaly in the barren cosmos, a world teeming with life and resources the Zorak intended to exploit. For centuries, the Zorak Empire had expanded its dominion through ruthless conquest, subjugating species and harvesting planets for resources. Earth was but another stone in their path to absolute galactic supremacy. The Zorak Supreme Fleet was an awe-inspiring sight, a sprawling armada of dreadnoughts, destroyers, and scout ships bristling with advanced weaponry. Plasma cannons capable of disintegrating entire cities lined the hulls of each massive vessel. Cloaking technology shielded them from detection, making them invisible to the primitive satellites of their target. Krelton felt certain that Earth, a planet with no interstellar defenses and no knowledge of the Zorak's power, would fall within hours of the fleet's arrival. As the Armada entered Earth's orbit, cloaked and poised to strike, Krelton delivered his first command. Dispatch the scouts. Assess their defenses and begin with a show of strength. His deep voice echoed through the bridge of the command ship, Pride of Zorak. Several scout ships broke formation, descending toward Earth's atmosphere, but they were soon detected by Earth's primitive radar systems. Within minutes, alarms blared across military bases around the world. Fighter jets scrambled, moving to intercept the unknown craft approaching from space. Earth's military might, though technologically inferior to the Zorak, was unexpectedly agile and coordinated. General Krelton frowned as reports streamed in. His scout ships were encountering heavy resistance in the skies above Earth. They managed to destroy some human fighter jets, but several scouts fell to missiles and coordinated attacks. This level of organization and resistance from a primitive planet was unheard of. The humans were fighting back and with a resolve that Krelton had never seen in his conquests. Interesting, he muttered, narrowing his eyes. Humans have spirit. This might be amusing. The situation escalated. Frustrated by the setback, Krelton ordered a full-scale assault on key cities. Plasma bolts began raining from the Zorak fleet, lighting up the skies in New York, Tokyo, London, and Cairo. The cities erupted into chaos, yet Earth's defense forces responded rapidly. Anti-aircraft artillery, surface-to-air missiles, and coordinated Air Force strikes battered the Zorak's hovering ships. Humanity was relentless. As he watched his fleet struggle, a rare sliver of doubt crept into Krelton's mind. What he had anticipated as a swift, one-sided conquest was turning into a full-blown war. He had underestimated these humans. While Earth's initial defense efforts had barely dented the Zorak fleet, they had bought time for the world's governments to unite. Communication lines buzzed with urgency as world leaders set aside their differences, joining forces to counter the alien threat. The formation of a global defense alliance was underway, coordinating resources, technology, and military might. With no time for bureaucracy, the best scientists, engineers, and strategists collaborated to devise a plan to repel the invaders. From hidden bunkers, elite hackers began launching cyberattacks against the Zorak fleet. Earth's digital warriors, familiar with navigating encrypted systems and complex digital interfaces, targeted the alien fleet's communication networks. Using Earth's satellites, they jammed the frequencies used by the Zorak, disrupting their communications. The invaders, now struggling with internal chaos, found their sophisticated technology compromised. Ships collided as the fleet struggled to maintain formation, and orders from the command ship were delayed or lost. On the ground, human engineers rapidly adapted alien technology salvaged from downed Zorak ships. Weapons capable of piercing alien hulls and armor were devised almost overnight. Leading the charge in Washington, D.C., Lieutenant General Marcus Shaw deployed Earth's new railgun, a secret prototype weapon that could fire metal slugs at near-light speed. Mounted on an advanced naval destroyer, the railgun's powerful projectiles bypassed the plasma shields protecting Zorak ships, punching holes through several dreadnoughts in one shot. The Zorak ships faltered, explosions lighting up the sky. Krelton watched the destruction unfold on his monitors, disbelief tightening his jaw. How could a primitive world have crafted such a powerful weapon? His forces were suffering losses unlike any he had encountered in centuries of conquest. Meanwhile, on the front lines, soldiers from various nations united under a single banner, equipped with modified rifles that could penetrate the aliens' exoskeleton armor. In makeshift command centers around the world, military strategists coordinated a global counterattack, deploying squadrons of fighter jets and tanks that adapted rapidly to the aliens' tactics. The battle reached a fever pitch as human forces unleashed everything they had, focusing fire on the weakened sections of the Zorak fleet. Earth's best pilots, using sheer grit and maneuverability, exploited every opening. One by one, Zorak ships fell from the sky, bursting into flames. As the day wore on, humanity's resolve only intensified. The initial fear that had gripped the planet was replaced by a steely determination to fight for survival. From the highest-ranking officers to the newly enlisted soldiers, every individual had a single goal: drive the aliens back. And for the first time in his career, General Krelton knew defeat was a possibility. Realizing that orbital strikes were failing to break Earth's defenses, General Krelton decided on a new tactic: ground invasion. He believed that up-close combat, where his elite forces could leverage their advanced weaponry and superior training, would finally shatter human resistance. The Zorak ground forces were equipped with powerful exoskeleton armor, plasma rifles that could incinerate metal, and shields that deflected most conventional human weapons. Confident in their superiority, the Zorak dispatched dropships to key cities around the world: New York, Beijing, Moscow, and Rio de Janeiro among them. The dropships descended into the heart of each city, breaking through skyscrapers and crushing vehicles beneath them as they landed. As the Zorak soldiers disembarked, civilians fled in terror, but the human military was waiting. In the streets of New York City, Captain Elena Ramirez, an elite special forces officer, led her squad through alleyways and hidden pathways, setting up strategic ambushes. Her team, armed with newly developed armor-piercing rounds and improvised explosives, moved with the precision and agility of guerrilla fighters, taking full advantage of the urban landscape. The Zorak soldiers, trained in open-field combat, struggled to adapt to the labyrinthine streets and alleys. Buildings limited their line of sight, and unfamiliar noises echoed from every direction. To their surprise, the humans engaged in hit-and-run tactics, launching quick, punishing strikes before disappearing into the shadows. Ramirez's squad moved like phantoms, striking from above, below, and behind, using rooftops and underground tunnels to their advantage. The aliens, who had expected a chaotic rabble, instead found themselves facing a well-coordinated resistance. In downtown New York, Ramirez's squad launched an attack on an alien command post. Plasma blasts scorched the pavement as the Zorak fired wildly, their shields deflecting bullets, but buckling under the armor-piercing rounds Ramirez's team had equipped. Ramirez's squad fought hard, disabling key systems within the command post, effectively crippling the local Zorak forces. She personally faced off with Commander Skrell, the Zorak officer in charge of the ground assault in New York. Skrell, arrogantly underestimating his human opponent, clashed with Ramirez in brutal hand-to-hand combat. His plasma sword sliced through the air, narrowly missing her as she ducked and rolled, evading each deadly swipe. Finally, with a calculated maneuver, Ramirez managed to disarm him and delivered a powerful blow with her modified combat knife, piercing his exoskeleton and incapacitating him. As Skrell fell, defeated, Ramirez raised her fist, signaling her team's victory over one of the Zorak's top officers. This victory was mirrored across cities worldwide as human forces, employing similar guerrilla tactics, ambushed the invaders and struck from all angles. Civilians also joined the fight, forming resistance groups that harassed alien troops, sabotaged their equipment, and disrupted supply routes. The urban warfare dragged on for days, each street turning into a deadly battlefield. By the end of the week, the Zorak ground forces were decimated, and the alien foothold in human cities had been dismantled. Humiliated and exhausted, the Zorak began to withdraw from major population centers, regrouping around their remaining strongholds. General Krelton, witnessing the near collapse of his ground forces, was forced to acknowledge the sheer resilience and resourcefulness of humanity. The invasion was quickly spiraling into a disaster, and he was running out of options. With his forces stretched thin and morale plummeting, General Krelton decided on a desperate plan to regroup. He ordered his command ship, the Pride of Zorak, to retreat from Earth's atmosphere temporarily, hoping to recalibrate his forces and launch a final concentrated assault. The Pride of Zorak was a symbol of the Empire's strength, a massive warship with weaponry so advanced that few in the galaxy dared approach it. But Earth's intelligence units had intercepted alien transmissions, uncovering the command codes and location of the Zorak flagship. The humans devised a bold plan. A covert strike team was assembled, comprised of the best special operations forces from around the globe. The team's mission: infiltrate the Pride of Zorak, disable its critical systems, and take down Krelton himself. The operatives equipped themselves with alien tech salvaged from downed ships, using modified cloaking devices to slip past the Zorak security grid. Once aboard, the team moved silently through the massive cold corridors of the alien vessel. The ship was crawling with Zorak soldiers, but Earth's operatives used stealth and precision, neutralizing guards without raising alarms. As they advanced, they planted charges in key areas of the ship, setting traps to disable the core systems. Finally, they reached the command center, where Krelton was stationed, monitoring Earth's defense movements. The general, still reeling from the chaos on the ground, barely had time to react when the human operatives breached the doors. A firefight broke out, plasma blasts ricocheting off the metallic walls as the humans pressed forward. Krelton, furious and cornered, brandished a plasma sword, facing off against the lead operative. But he was no match for the battle-hardened humans who had fought for survival against impossible odds. In a final act of defiance, Krelton launched himself at the strike team's leader, but the humans were ready. With a swift and coordinated attack, they overpowered him, bringing the once feared Zorak general to his knees. The operatives then triggered the explosives they had planted throughout the ship. The Pride of Zorak trembled as explosions erupted in its core, disabling the engines and weapons systems. As alarms blared, the human operatives made their escape, retreating back to their dropship just as the Zorak flagship began to implode. Outside, Earth's military watched as the once mighty Pride of Zorak erupted in a massive fireball, illuminating the sky and signaling a decisive turning point in the war. News of the command ship's destruction rippled through the Zorak fleet. Without Krelton's leadership, the alien forces were thrown into disarray. Ships drifted out of formation, and panicked Zorak soldiers scrambled for orders that would never come. The fall of the Pride of Zorak was a devastating blow, shattering the Zorak morale and leaving them vulnerable. Earth's victory was near, and the humans were not about to let their hard-fought gains slip away. With their command ship obliterated and their ground forces in disarray, the remaining Zorak fleet attempted a desperate retreat. Earth's united defense forces, however, saw this moment of weakness as an opportunity to deliver a final decisive blow. Newly fortified with reverse-engineered alien technology, humanity's warships and defense systems were now more powerful than ever, enabling them to strike with the precision and force they needed to end the invasion once and for all. All around the planet, Earth's forces launched a coordinated assault on the disorganized Zorak fleet. Fighter jets, armed with plasma-resistant armor, soared through the sky, weaving through the debris fields left by the earlier battles. Missiles, guided by cutting-edge tracking systems adapted from alien tech, tore through the remaining Zorak ships. Humanity's greatest minds had transformed the technology of their enemy into weapons that were stronger, faster, and deadlier than anything the Zorak had anticipated. The final confrontation was intense. The skies above Earth turned into a chaotic battleground, with explosions illuminating the atmosphere as Earth's forces hunted down the remaining alien ships. One by one, the Zorak vessels fell, breaking apart and disintegrating as they plummeted into Earth's oceans or burned up in the atmosphere. The once formidable Zorak fleet had been reduced to fragments. On the ground, cheers erupted from every corner of the world. News of the Zorak retreat spread like wildfire, bringing waves of relief and jubilation to the war-weary planet. Civilians and soldiers alike took to the streets in celebration, united by the knowledge that they had fought off a foe once thought invincible. In the aftermath, humanity's leaders gathered to address the world, praising the courage, ingenuity, and resilience of all who had contributed to the victory. Earth was no longer seen as a backwater planet, but as a force to be reckoned with, capable of defending itself against the mightiest of empires. News of the Zorak defeat spread beyond Earth's borders, signaling to other alien civilizations that humanity was not to be underestimated. The invasion had left Scar's cities in ruin, lives lost, and a planet forever changed. Yet humanity had emerged stronger, more united than ever, with newfound knowledge and an unbreakable spirit. The Zorak Empire, shattered and humiliated, retreated to the far corners of the galaxy, knowing they had faced a formidable foe and paid a heavy price. Earth, once seen as a mere target, had now become a legend across the stars. And humanity, the once unknown species from the blue planet, had shown the galaxy what it meant to be truly indomitable.